like to ask is if we can move an item, and if I could get a second, that would be item number 3 on the consent agenda. If I can get a motion to move item 3 off and put it on the regular agenda, please.
Is that a motion, or do
I'm
you?
asking someone to make the motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to remove item number 3 from the consent agenda and move it to the regular agenda.
And I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And I suppose we can start from the beginning and move on. Better yet, if you guys don't mind, can we start with that item, if that's okay? Item number 3 from the consent agenda, it's approve and second of the final reading of ordinance 2022-003, an ordinance of the city of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by amending the zoning classification of 21,000 square feet located at 7505 Masters Road, Manvel, Texas, from light commercial district, State Highway 6 overlay district to light commercial, State Highway 6 to light commercial district, State Highway 6 to overlay district with a specific use permit, LC/State Highway 6 SUP, providing for the granting of a specific use permit with conditions to authorize the use of property for NAICSU 621111 offices of physicians except mental health specialists, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing severability, and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof, forwarded with favorable recommendation with conditions by PD&Z with a 4-1 vote. So,
I need to recuse myself from this conversation. Yep, thank you.
thank you, Dan. So, I know this is the second reading, but this particular business owner wanted to just kind of not only introduce herself, but add a possible tweak to her SUP for all of us to discuss. And if Jessica, could you let us know what those conditions are, or remind us what those conditions are? And the business owner, if she can come forward, that would be great. Thank you.
The proposed conditions for this SUP, one, that the property and facility will govern by all requirements in section 7750 of the zoning ordinance. 2, the parking lot shall be improved with an asphalt surface approved by the city engineer before a certificate of occupancy is issued. 3, provide striped parking spaces per section 7745. 4, the property owner shall comply with section 7751 facade requirements when redevelopment or substantial improvement occurs on the site. 5, the property owner shall comply with section 7736 when redevelopment or substantial improvement occurs on site. 6, no new freestanding light fixture shall be greater than 25 feet in height. 7, all new outdoor lighting shall be designated so that no light spillover onto abutting property exceeds 0.3 of a foot candle when measured vertically. 8, a clear path for emergency vehicles shall be maintained at all times. 9, the request is for the use of internal space with no exterior modifications. Any interior modifications will require life safety reviews by the fire marshal and inspections through the building permit process.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tanya Salinas. I'm the nurse practitioner that's wanting to open a family practice here in Manvel. Questions, or I guess that I just wanted clarifications. I know, I just wanted to clarify because I know in the, I guess it was in the developmental meeting that we had, you you mentioned that I could be open only from 8 to 5. I just want to clarify on the application, I did put 7:30 to 4:30 that would be open. And I just wanted to just make sure that that's not going to be a problem with that.
That's a good question. And while she's finding that, is there anything outside of those conditions that you want to give us an update on, or
Yeah, so
clarity?
I know for sure the park that but the landlord, because I'm not the owner, I'm the person that's leasing the place, just to clarify. I know the landlord is working on the parking permit already. I know that he already got an engineer, and his name is Dong, and I know he's been in contact with Dan. I just wanted to make sure that hopefully that doesn't take that long of a process, because I've been waiting so long already. And I really want this, I want to open this place for the community. I'm really excited for it. A lot of patients are actually waiting on it, asking me, when am I opening? So I'm hoping that that goes smooth and well, faster than it should. But that, of course, I just wanted to just update everyone else that that was being processed also. And then also, I did also want to add on, like, I know on the timing or the management of that, I wanted to just make sure that I am okay to open on Saturdays if needed. I'm not right now, but in the future, if patients want to, sometimes they work, they want to come in for the weekend to get a physical or be seen, I do want to open on Saturdays, one Saturday a month, if that's also possible to be already in the system or like with the city.
I guess my question, Ms. Jessica, is that something we have to discuss and ask to add to this SUP, or do you see any kind of issue as to why that cannot be adjusted?
So to clarify the point that you've brought up, there are certain conditions, or 3 conditions that are already predetermined when we went through and everything got amended for human trafficking. And one of that had to do with business hours. It says the facility is only permitted to operate during the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day, unless authorized by an approved SUP. So if your hours were to be for 7:30, that would be an added condition I would recommend that the city council put in this ordinance. I don't think the 10 p.m. is going to be an issue for them, and we do not distinguish between a Saturday or a Monday in the day of the week for operation.
So we would have to agree to add 7:30 to 4:30
Yes.
hours?
Well, the 7:30 to 10 is actually.
Yeah,
The
7:30.
ordinance already allows it
Yeah.
to go later.
Okay. So do we need to ask for consensus or vote on making that adjustment at on the SUP?
That needs to be part of your motion.
It has to be part of our
And it's
motion?
going to have to be, the document's going to have to be reflected, I guess, to put that in there somewhere.
Okay. So does anybody here at the table have a discussion about that or have any issue with making that adjustment? Bobby, any input? Speak now.
That-
Attorney, no problem.
Say that again, what was
Is
your?
there any input that you have to make sure that we're doing this correctly?
No, I mean, as long as council votes on it and it's in the document, then the ordinance has a repealer clause that it will say, to the extent any other ordinance conflicts with it, this one would basically trump it. So as long as that's in the ordinance specifically, you're fine.
Gotcha, okay. So I do want to make a motion to amend this SUP to reflect the hours stated of 7:30 a.m. to 10, and does not affect her Saturdays if she plans on being business open on that. So if I can get a motion,
I'd like to make a motion to approve that 7:30 time.
and along with the SUP?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
I also had a quick clarification. I know that in order for me to get the certificate of occupancy, do I have to have the parking lot done and then I apply for it, or how would that work? Or can I apply for it while it's already in process?
Staff question? I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
I think one of the conditions was the parking lot shall be improved before a certificate of occupancy is issued.
Okay. So the parking lot has to be done then?
They can make the application before it, but the occupancy permit couldn't be issued until the parking lot is done.
So she should make the application
Yeah.
incongruent with it, so you can move it faster.
So I could already put the application, they
You
could
can make
already
the
go see it?
application in, you can submit the application, but we can't approve it until it's done.
Yeah, so would it be possible that they could actually go and see the inside and make sure everything looks good, and then until the parking lot's done, they could say you're good to go? Yeah, like just to make sure inspections or anything, that's, nothing else gets delayed? Just question.
Yeah, I would think that that's part of the construction process.
Okay.
So you can move forward and just know that that little piece of paper can't happen until, as long as
Of course,
everything's moving.
that I can't open until that's done, of course. No, yeah, of course.
I would suggest if you have any, anything that you need in the way of inspections, go through permitting in order to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Motion passed and approved 4-0. Thanks, guys. 4-2-0. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And since we're already in consent agenda items, if nobody has an issue, May we approve the consent agenda now at the very beginning? Can I get a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that passes 5-0. Sorry about that. Now we can start at number 1. Okay, back to the regular agenda in order. Let's start with number 1. Consideration and possible action to approve final plat for Meridiana Section 52, being a subdivision of 21.88 acres out of HT and BRR Company Survey Section 61, Abstract 282, and the Oliver Hall Survey, Abstract 203, City of Manvel, Brazoria County, Texas. Favorable recommendation by PD&Z failed 027. And Jessica, can I hand it to you?
Yes. And if you'd like, you could probably take items 1, 2, and 3 together, since they all it's the same thing. But with item number 1, Meridiana Section 52 final plat, this section takes access from Meridiana Pursley Boulevard Phase 7. So until that road access is provided for Section 52, we're unable to make that positive recommendation for the plat.
So I'll make a motion to approve agenda items 1, 2, and 3.
Nicole, second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. I did not count. Did somebody else count? 2 to 3?
Now, how are we voting now?
So what just happened is this failed, the favorable recommendation failed.
Okay.
And so,
Fails 0 to 5.
2 to 3. And so we can move on to agenda item number 4.
Okay. 2 to 3. I'm sorry, it failed 3 to 2, right?
Yes.
It has to have 4 affirmative votes to pass. It failed.
Item number 4, consideration and possible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements of the conditions of any conditional approvals and the reasons for disapproval of any plans or plats that were not approved per Texas Local Government Code 212.0091. Kyle, can we get it, or
This is going to be Jessica's.
Jessica? Okay, thanks, Jessica.
So in the event that a plat is failed to be approved or approved with conditions, this gives staff the ability to convey with that written letter to the applicant on your behalf of those reasons why. We were already doing this on your behalf, but this just kind of tightens everything up.
I'll make a motion to direct staff to provide said applicants with the necessary written statements.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, consideration and possible action to approve a subdivision variance request for property located at 6336 Del Barolo Spur, seeking to vary Chapter 62, Section 62-111, additional street requirements, and authorize the mayor to execute the development agreement. Jessica, may I have a quick update, please?
Yes, ma'am. So you may recall this address with some familiarity to it. You approved a subdivision variance request on January 3rd of 2022 for same said section of Section 62-111, and that is for construction of one half of Del Bello spur to concrete curb and gutter. Since then, staff has accepted an application where we have reviewed, and we found that the property has a 60-foot unimproved a 60-foot wide unimproved public road easement that's located towards the rear of that property. So section 62111 says that the property owners have to fully construct that right-of-way as it exists through their property. We had some conversations with them regarding the abandonment of that. As you know, that would take, it would take some partnership with their neighboring properties. Most of those neighboring properties are already developed, so there's no need that they'd have any sort of impetus to actually want to abandon that right-of-way at this time. So we came up with a conclusion whereby they could submit an application and we could make a request that it just not be constructed at all to concrete curb and gutter. It's dedicated and they will plat it as such and show it as a roadway. It will not interfere with the plans of what they want to build on the property. It's a large piece of property at almost like 12 acres. They're really just wanting to build a house and a barn. So staff is recommending approval of the variance request with two conditions. One being the subdivision variance will expire upon exchange of the use from a single-family residential detached structure. Or two, a subdivision variance would expire when the property is replatted into more of one lot or reserve.
One question for you, Jessica, and this is based off of what we discussed during the workshop. The developer covenants within section 3 is where it talks about the beginning of construction as well as the acknowledgement of the city's covenants. And based off of y'all's experience, do you guys feel like the 1 year time frame is a suitable time frame? Do you feel that we might need to look to adjust that? Just want to get feedback there. I don't have any issue with approving the variance request. Just wanted to get some feedback on possibly adjusting that time frame.
They haven't made any requests of difference of maybe needing 2 years. And it does state that to begin construction of a single family structure. I think if they could have started building this thing, they would have built it a month ago or when some of these conversations first started. So I don't see an issue where there will be any delay that they won't be able to meet the 1 year
Okay, I
deadline.
appreciate that. Well, unless anybody else has any other comments, I'll make a motion to approve the variance request.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Okay. And item number 6, consideration and possible action to approve the first of 2 readings of ordinance 2022-0-06, an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending Chapter 50, Planning and Development, Article 3, Comprehensive Plan by approving the 2022 Master Water Plan, update document as the 2022 Master Water Plan, amending Section 50-54, Master Water Plan, integrating the city's 2022 Master Water Plan into the city's comprehensive plans, providing for conformity of all regulations to the Master Water Plan, providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 per day for each day of violation of any provision hereof, and providing for severability and providing a severance clause and effective date. If somebody on staff could give a summary of what we are adopting.
You want to do it?
Sure. And the ordinance itself is probably one of the shortest ordinances that you'll ever see because the only thing changing is 2017 to 2022. So this is an update of our master water plan that was originally approved back in 2017. This was the update that we saw, that we heard in our workshop at the last meeting. And of course, it just basically, just like the master wastewater plan, it brings all of the developments that we know about, brings them up onto the maps and helps us sort of plan for the future of what size those water lines need to be. And then for the first time ever, it talked about the source of water. We know that we can't get all of our water ultimately from groundwater. So this contemplates the idea of getting maybe even a hybrid system, maybe getting some water from the city of Pearland, maybe having our own water plant along a partnership with GCWA. So it's a pretty comprehensive plan, but we're ready for it if y'all are.
Just to confirm, Dan, this is not adopting one specific recommendation, but the entirety of the plan, which allows staff and council to have flexibility as things change, as things develop, to move a different direction if needed.
Correct.
A suggestion will be that what we will do is incorporate the projects from this into the Bobby always talks about the CIP because he talks about the impact fee, CIP. This is the long-range planning for the city. What we would do is take those projects that are included in here, add it to what everybody except the impact fee people talk about as the CIP, and those would be the things that we'd bring back to the council for approval and then funding, and then we'd move forward with those.
Do we need to add any of what you said in this?
No, because it's included in the plan itself.
Included, okay. So any other discussion or comments? Big deal, people. No? Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-0-06.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. 5-0. Move forward. Number 7, consideration and possible action of the appointments of the Manvel Economic Development Corporation Board's positions 1, 2, and 3 with a term to expire in March 2024. And so I don't know, I think everybody probably received all of the applications and reviewed, so if somebody wants to bring a slate, that would be great. Larry?
I make a motion to appoint Angela Graham for place 1, Lorraine Hang for place 2, Donald Atkinson for place 3.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Did we get that? Okay. Item number 8, consideration and possible action of the appointments of the Manvel Planning, Development, and Zoning Commissions, positions 5, 6, and 7, with a term to expire in March 2024. And again, I believe everybody received all the information. If anybody wants to bring a slate forward. I don't mind bringing a slate. I would.
One quick question before you introduce that. I just wanted to confirm something. This has Mary Ann Atkinson. It says redacted, though. Does that mean that the application was pulled, or? I apologize for not, I should have asked this before the meeting tonight, but I just wanted to clarify.
So that redacted is because they're online, there's personal information on the application. So that shows me that's the one I redacted that personal information off of. But also for Mary Ann's, part of the qualifications for P&Z is that you have to attend 2 consecutive meetings. So if you want Mary Ann to be considered for the board, she still has 1 more meeting to attend, which would mean you'd have to table this evening and then give her an opportunity to attend 1 more meeting, and then you guys could vote. Or I've talked to Mary Ann, and the next board coming up will be the Zoning Board of Adjustments, which she would qualify for. If she doesn't get chosen for this one, she could reapply for that one.
Thank you, Tammy.
Any other questions? Okay. I want to bring up the slate of Christy Kennard, reappointment, Dorothy Wen, reappointment, and Hamid Alam, reappointment. If I can get a second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Moving on to number 9, consideration and possible action to direct staff on the proposed amendments to Code of Ordinances, Article 9, noise regulation. And I understand that Jessica, if that's okay, or
Actually, Chief
Chief
Taylor
is
gonna do
going to give us some input, because we talked about this prior. This is coming back to us with more input. And what do you got?
Taking into consideration of the discussions we had at the last council meeting, I looked at our current ordinance, and it, in my opinion, needed to be reflected and need to have some change made to it to reflect our growth with our community and our businesses. Listening to what direction we got at the last meeting, I'll be honest, I really didn't know where to go or how to go about it. So I started doing some research, and I started pulling up different muni codes, different noise ordinance codes throughout our area. And I happened to stumble across Sugarlands, which is basically met all the requirements as what we discussed, or that was discussed at the last council meeting. meaning the land requirements, the land use requirements, the noise levels, the distinction between residential, light commercial, heavy commercial, and such as that. So what I did was I took our ordinance and I combined it with what Sugar Land has already got in place, which I feel meets the discussion that we had at the previous meeting. Now, keep in mind, this is a very, very rough draft of what we have, and it's basically designed just to solicit discussion and for y'all's guidance and input in the direction that y'all would like it to see and what we need to do and where we need to go from there. As I was reviewing it today, I did already find one mistake on it that I made. Under 44-163, Chapter 9, it's already, I repeated that. It's already covered under 44-161C. So I'll be removing one of those sections out of there because it's a repetitive in the ordinance.
Does anybody have any other input or direction or comments to make to give to the chief? Dan, go ahead.
Chief, great job for this being a very rough draft. I like the direction that you're taking with it. I just had kind of 4 areas just of clarification here. One is going to be within section 44-162, subpoint E. It's where it lists out the noise source operating exceeding the 5 decibel points, and for 1.5 minutes, 6 minutes, 15 minutes, etc. Is that, when you classify sustained level, would that be where it has to be consecutively for those 15 minutes, or if it's within that, an hour period of time, if it's accumulation of 15 minutes during a 1 hour period of time?
That is a sustained level within a 1 hour period.
Okay.
And it also goes down depending on the decibel levels. The higher the decibel levels, let me find that section. 5 decibels operate at a sustained level for less than 15 minutes. 10 decibels, this is over the allowable levels, of a noise source operates at a sustained level for less than 6 minutes in any 1 hour period. And a 15 decibels is 1.5 minutes during a 1 hour period level.
Okay,
That's a sustained level of noise.
Okay, so your definition of sustained is that it's a consecutive.
Continuous, correct.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clarify that. The other item was in regards to if a violation occurs of this chapter, what sort of fines or what tools do you have in your tool chest in order to enforce this chapter? And I might have missed it in this, and I apologize if I did.
There's actually,
And that's what this chapter would be applicable to. Okay. Okay, so Chief, that would give you the discretion, you and your department, the discretion that if a violation occurs, up to $200 worth per violation.
it would be a citation.
A citation.
And the judge would assess, or the courts would assess the fine amounts, but it's up to $200.
Okay, perfect. 2 other items just for clarification purposes. One would be under section 44-161 D, talking about if there's a business that operates within 500 feet of a dwelling between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 p.m., it cannot operate from a certain noise standpoint. I was just thinking about, okay, are there any businesses or any entities that would possibly might need to have a playground after 10 p.m., for example? The only thing that I could come to mind is if a church service is happening, that it might be where children are using the playground or whatever that might be after 10 p.m. Since this references, Section D specifically references businesses, that would not be applicable, just to confirm, and not applicable to churches.
Well, I have a comment.
I think if you're looking at 44-163, talking about the general prohibitions, if you look down to number 7, it includes churches.
Okay.
And Bobby,
Normally, SUPs cover that sort of thing, right, for a church, like, you say what their hours of operation?
I think we've included that in the past, but it probably could be a condition. Just a correction, Bobby told me the $200 limit is for traffic fines. Most city fines are up to $500, with the exception of zoning, which is up to $2,000. So this would be $500.
Safe, fire safety, zoning, public health and sanitation could be at 2,000. Everything else is 500.
I was gonna comment on that, but I thought I was not paying attention, because every time I read this, it says up to $2,000 a day, and I thought, where did that $200 come from? Because that is nothing.
$2,000 is for usually an SUP, so it's a zoning violation.
So
Thank you for correcting that.
the last item I have, it's in 44, section 44-161, and it's actually within item number A. And this kind of leads into a point that Mr. Black brought before us in regards to discretion, but also enforcement. Because we had talked about at the last meeting that if we have laws on the book, you want to make sure your laws are enforced, but at the same time, you want your officers, your code enforcement officials to have the discretion necessary. I think that's something that, as council, we all agree. In this item number A, it uses the word may. May would be more so of a permissive provision rather than a command, which is what the word shall would be used there. And this might be, Bobby, something for you, or Chief, if you could speak to this, was there a specific reason, this is kind of nitty gritty as well, that the word may was used in regards to items, sub-items 1, 2, 3, and 4, compared to shall? Does that word may give you and your department chief the discretion that you guys need as you go out there to enforce this chapter?
Yeah, if we use the word shall, then that makes it a specific, that you have to do those particular items. You know, it's the language that's used through all laws and through all ordinances, shall, may, will, such as that actually defines what the officers have to do, or code enforcement officials basically either have to do or gives them the variance or the discretion to look at it. So is with the may part, you know, like I said, everything that was underlined was something that I brought over from Sugar Land as a discussion item. I mean, we can look at it, we can figure out which way the best way would be, whether we want to make it the shall or keep it as may, and we can, bring it back. There's got to be some more cleanup or tightening up as we've used before, but, this is, me personally, I would rather have the may in there. It gives us the discretion to do, the enforcement side of it. Shall kind of puts us on the, you're gonna do it types, so.
Okay, well, that's what I was.
I would say shall is stronger, obviously.
Absolutely.
So I don't know why, you have four things to look at. I don't know why you wouldn't look at all of them, but again, maybe that's just linked to officer discretion as well. The proximity might not matter if the sound intensity is so high. You don't really need to look at proximity because you already know. Maybe there's a simple reason of that. That's one of the factors that doesn't need to be considered because, there may be something like that. But obviously, shall is a stronger word.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I looked at these, I kind of looked at that section as, okay, here's your checklist of items that you need to look at. And whenever you mentioned, Chief, that you had brought this over from Sugar Land, I wanted to make sure that that word there was, because it's a very key word, but it's a small word in the same big scale of things. Just wanted to make sure you were happy with that word may. You didn't want to see it be a shall. Just wanted to focus on that. So,
When you look at the four, that gives us the latitude, it gives us the different options to look at. Like everything might be all right in there, except you look at the time of the day or night when the noise is occurring. That might be that one factor that we have to look at, so.
One of the sections, I'm not either a police chief or a city attorney, but the way I would read that is if you included the shall and all four of them are included with an and, all four of those would have to be included in effect, the violation. If it's may, like the chief said. Well, shall be considered. So the discretion would be, as the chief said, if the sound volume was overwhelming, the proximity may not matter.
well, I appreciate y'all's feedback there. I'm fine with the word may, Chief, if you're good with that. I'll continue to review this, Lorraine, and if there's any feedback, I'll definitely get it to you guys. But I think I'd be fine with having this come before us for approval. at our next meeting with any other cleanup that needs to happen between now and then. But I like the direction this is heading. Thank you.
Any other comments? Nothing? Okay, thank you. I just want to, add to Mr. Davis's comments on there that just keep going this direction, clean this part up. If you see anything else that we need to add between now and then, we hope to see it very soon. Thank you. So moving on to item 10, and I guess I should include, if I'm able to, executive session, that these items per, Mr. Albert's not able to make it. These were his discussion items, and I want to show him and the mayor respect that we all be included in this. It was important enough for him to put it here. So I'd like to ask to table that as well as the executive session, if I can get a motion and a second for that.
Just a clarification, do we need to table the executive session or just not enter it and then ask that it come?
Right, we'd just add it to a future agenda. You don't need to table an executive session.
Okay. So may I ask for a motion to table item 10 and a second?
So moved.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table executive session and,
All those in favor? All those opposed? And we can move those to a future agenda item. And we already did consent, and we are doing executive section for a future session. And we are about done. Does anybody have any council comments? And I already made the best comment that Mr. Davis' birthday is today. So we all acknowledge that.
Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge that it was Tammy's birthday it was on the 20th? The 20th.
And Jason?
And Jason's as well. One other thing I would like to ask, I don't know what necessarily the full context of the situation with Joni, but if we could have a follow-up with her where staff gets connected with her just to see what might need to be done there, or just providing her some information, I think that'd be great.
Any other comments or future agenda items that we can put in now? Nothing at all? Okay. Everyone go vote. We're still in early voting. Our numbers don't look good. I want to see them look great for the future. And I guess,
Motion to adjourn?
second? All those in favor? All those opposed? And we're done. Thank you.